Clowns are like cars. To see what's malfunctioning, you may need to check under the hood. Here's a look at McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Detective Comics Platinum Edition Red Hood. The Joker's past remains a mystery, but Batman believes his nemesis was once the brilliant leader of the Red Hood Gang, a criminal outfit that plagued Gotham City early during the Batman's career. After a fall into a vat of chemicals stained his skin white and his hair green, the Red Hood seemed to opt for a career as the Joker, giving in to every insane impulse. You'd think with creating so many criminals, chemical plants would be a little bit more careful and put lids on their vats. Before we get a closer look, though, at the Detective Comics Red Hood, let's take the tape measure and see how tall the figure stands. One that's been on my waiting list for a while. Finally, though, Amazon had a big sale on all their DC Multiverse figures, so I got this guy for a little over $20. Red Hood, though, is using essentially, though, the same Joker body as the one from the Three Jokers line. I'll be bringing that one in a second. In the meantime, though, the Red Hood's going to stand at 6 3/4 of an inch in height, or about 17.5 centimeters tall. So if you know this mold, then you know the mold for Red Hood, as the figure basically is just a repainted body of the criminal Joker from the Three Jokers line. So if I start to do the math in my head, I paid a little over $20 for basically just a plastic hood and a cape. I still think it's worth it, though. Bringing in some of the other colorful criminals of Batman's lore. Here's what the figure looks like with Victor Freeze, a.k.a. Mr. Freeze. Here's also what he looks like with Edward E. Nygma, a.k.a. the Riddler. And hey, why not? Let's bring in a Boy Wonder. Here's what the figure looks like with both Robin and the Batman from Nightfall. I guess I probably should have brought in a couple of Jason Todd Red Hood figures for comparisons, right? No. We're not going to overshadow the past, the Clown Prince of Crime. No, the figure should stand on his own and not just be basically surrounded by other Red Hoods. The figure, though, is surrounded right now, at least, by a display stand, because as well, this is the Platinum Edition, some frills get afforded, the DC logo down below. Normally, it's branded in black. This time, it's branded in silver. And to the far corner, it has a peg that can plug into either one of the shoes of Red Hood. You only have one. Well, you have 2 feet, but you only have one peg. The figure also comes included with the podium standee. I'm going to remove the card, and we'll just put that off to the side. By the way, though, the color that they've used for the stand happens to be the same one, same style of silver as the smaller figure stand. Is that how it works? Apparently how it works. The figure also comes included with a trading card depicted on the side. We've got Batman going like this. Robin is like this. And just over top of that, actually, it says McFarlane Collector Edition. And in the corner, it says, "We dare you to accept this challenge. Can you outguess Batman and Robin and name the man behind the Red Hood?" Is it the Joker? Yes, you've played this game before. Maybe you haven't played the game of reading the backstory on the back. Just above, actually, the read-up, there is, of course, the debut. The debut is Detective Comics Volume 1, number 188, February 1951. I personally would love to get that issue, but I know. Small violin? No, come on. It's going to cost a lot of money. Unless I can get myself a reprint, and I think I actually have myself a trade paperback of all the Joker's best stories. I'm sure 188 is actually in there. Let's put that back onto the standee. And we'll just move the standee just over there, just to kind of get everything out of the way. Up next, though, the figure comes included with a couple of Monopoly pieces. I play the crossbow! No, I like to play the top hat. That's my favorite Monopoly piece. So if you ever try to play Monopoly against me, first of all, you'll lose. Second of all, don't even think to grab the top hat. The top hat is mine. Always either was the top hat or the little meow cat. Meow, meow. But the figure does, like I said, come included with a crossbow and sort of a sickle weapon. The crossbow I recognize, I think, is the one that came included with the Huntress. I can't quite, though, place where the sickle came from. I think it's the villain that has the glowing eyes. He looks like he comes from The Purge. I did a review of him. I can't even remember his name right now. If you know, let me know, and then we'll be all in the know. What's also to know as well is that he only has, well, because he's also using the same body as the criminal Joker, that unfortunately also means he has to sacrifice one gripping hand. He has a gestured hand on this side. He has a gripping on the other, but yet he has 2 accessories. You have to choose. You can't have both. You got to choose one. I started, though, the beginning of this review with him with a sickle in his hand. What I might, though, do is when it comes to displaying this guy, and even for final looks, I'm going to put the crossbow in his hand. That seems more like something the Red Hood would have. Basically, just put it in his hand. Now you got I want to say like angle his head, but you wouldn't even know whether he's looking over here, or he's looking way up there. Hey, there's a bird up there. Pew! Removing, though, the crossbow, let's put it off to the side. Getting, though, a closer look at what little of a look we can actually get from the Red Hood. So essentially, I know I've already kind of established this. Criminal Joker, right, is just getting decoed darker here with a new suit. But it's the same figure, same hands, just different, obviously, head sculpt. The original Criminal Joker, while the Red Hood is looking, I have no idea where he's looking. The Criminal Joker was a fine figure. I mean, obviously, this mold's been used a couple of times already. Now we get it this time around for the Red Hood. I mean, it's some saving cost is obviously there. But, you know, Red Hood had a very similar style of outfit anyways. Like, I can't fault Todd and his team to get the most mileage out of their molds. It's always something I say here on this channel. If you can get the most mileage, I'm blocking the figure. If you can get the most mileage out of your figure's molds, why not? If it means that we get ourselves a Red Hood, the classic look, why not? Now, if we were to say check underneath the hood, do you think we would find a face underneath? Anybody guess? Anybody want to take any guesses? The person that's already watched this review is already commenting down below. No, you can't. Well, you can't. If you take the hood off, what you basically look at and experiencing is the barren wasteland. I can't even think of what I was saying there. The barren wasteland of what would be an empty cavity. That's what I was thinking of, an empty cavity. There's a peg hole in there. I don't even know if you'd be able to see it or not. And you got a long post here. So basically you just connect the two. You will, though, if you look at it, there's definitely more of an angle there. So you kind of know what the front of the hood is, and you sort of know what the back is, because the front of the hood's a little bit longer. The cape also essentially can be taken off. So really once you have... So for me, to collect the Red Hood, this is about $25 right here. About $24, and then some shipping on top of that. This is what I invested into, and yet I'm still not disappointed at all. So once that's removed, basically what you have, other than just a different head sculpt, because this guy has no head, is the same body. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. So let's go ahead and put the cape back on his body. By the way, the cape, as I just get the hood back on his head, the cape has a wire that's built into it. It's on the side, and it's also along the bottom here as well. I do actually like the material that they've used here too. It's, I don't know, I would describe it as a silk. It's a little, I mean, like, what would be a cheaper silk? Anybody that knows anything about fabric can let me know, and then we'll all be in the know. But there's a wire frame down below here. There's a wire down the side. There's wire on the side. So yeah, if you wanted to, you do a better job, obviously, than what I'm doing right now. But if you want to give a little flow to the cape, you can easily pull that off. Helmet looks good for, you know, again, like what simple it is on a design. The rest of the body, again, is just a reused mold. But again, like, I do really like the colors that they chose. They may have even, in fact, gone a little bit darker for the suit. Instead of maybe even giving him the dark purple like this, maybe even giving a jet black instead. The gloves are painted well. I mean, you know, it's so easy for them to add some additional frills. It might be even one of the reasons, too, why they include the podium like this. It's because, again, like with a figure like this, so many of the costs that were involved initially to make this figure, you're not paying those costs again. All you're really now having to retool is a new head or a new helmet. And just like sewing a cape is probably the cheapest thing a figure company could probably do, says the guy that's behind the camera, says the guy that's reviewing a figure and knows nothing about what the cost of productions actually are. What I do know is at least the articulation. The figure's head, if I can actually get that all the way on there. Now, of course, I'm trying to find where there it is. Pop that all the way on there. So the ball joint, even though it is longer, it's not going to afford this guy much in the way of posability. The head's going to rotate back and forth, whether that's the front, whether that's the front. It does rotate back and forth. It can move up and down just only a little bit, and there's a bit of a head rocker there too. Because he's also encased inside of a suit jacket, there is technically a ball joint in there, but you can't really do too much with it. I mean, you can rotate it easily enough, but when you're rotating this, you're not just rotating this torso alone. You're rotating the total package. And I don't mean Lex Luger either. The arms rotate all the way around as well. You can hinge them easily out. We just recently had a look at this figure mold as well. Oh, it was Owl in the Court of Owls 3-pack. I do hope you guys watched the review of that. I didn't. Oh, get out of here. Get out. Just leave. Unfortunately, though, because, again, they're using this jacket overlaid piece, the same issue still applies. I think the Criminal Joker also had it as well. The Owl definitely had it, too. It does leave a bit of a gap space just to give a little bit of afforded space for the arms to rotate out. When you rotate them also out as well, you can see that it leaves the white open area here of what would be a shirt underneath. So it's unfortunate, but there's really no way to get around that if it means that the arm can do as much as it's doing right now. Hinge out, T-pose. Well, T-pose would be both. Rotating the arm all the way around. The figure does have a swivel cut in the bicep, a double hinge still on the elbow, and the hands rotate all the way around. The legs split, no issues really there, other than just obviously the longer jacket makes things like bending. A full Van Damme splits, you're not probably going to, maybe you could pull it off. maybe you can pull it off. Legs go forward, legs go back, swivel at the top of the thigh. The figure does have a double hinge on the knee. And again, your standard articulation where it counts. Ankle pivot, ankle rocker, toe articulation as well. I'm not even gonna discuss the fact that, again, like, for me to get a Red Hood, I got myself basically, like, they could have easily just released a hood and a cape accessory pack, and I could have just done the work myself to build the Red Hood. But I couldn't really do that technically because, again, like, the Criminal Joker has the wrong choice of purple. I mean, Red Hood ideally. I mean, I could use this body. I'm trying to think of really I guess I could probably use also the owl, but, like, he has also a tie. So, I mean, the Red Hood should really have the kind of outfit that, you know, I think really in most of the comics too, the Red Hood tend to have only just also a little bow tie. He didn't really have technically the style of tie that the Criminal Joker would also. Why am I having such a struggle here? It wouldn't really have the same style of bow tie, but, you know, again, like, to get the most out of this mold, for me, even having this discussion with everybody, and I hope that everybody's enjoyed this review so much. But to, you know, again, to finally get myself a classic Red Hood, I have enough Red Hoods from Jason Todd. I don't have any Red Hoods, though, for the Clown Prince of Crime until now. Yes, the cape, again, is a nice added accessory. Of course, again, the hood. In the end, though, a $20 figure. I mean, at one point, the Red Hood was going for a lot more on eBay. I probably at one point had this in my shopping cart for around $45 to $50. I'm glad that I ended up not doing that because eventually, like, Amazon just after, I think it was just after Christmas, marked a lot of their DC Multiverse figures. So you may see, in fact, a lot of them showing up here on this channel. Some might be slightly older figures like the Red Hood here, but ones that I could finally add to my collection, and I didn't have to pay the ludicrous prices that they were selling for on eBay at one point. Accessory wise, again, I think the only other thing I would have done, you know, they've saved obviously the cost of using the same mold as this guy here. Could we not have at least gotten ourselves 2 gripping hands? He has 2 accessories. Sadly, though, he only has 1 hand to hold them. Red Hood doesn't reinvent anything, no. For this figure to even exist, it means he got the hand-me-downs from the Criminal Joker from the 3 Jokers line, and I'm okay with that. I mean, maybe not the most comic accurate. I think his bow tie was a little bit more of a bow tie and less the tie that the Criminal Joker has, but at least we get ourselves a Red Hood. If this was a case where Todd was to look at a character like this and know that there was costs involved to produce it from scratch, I don't even think we would have even gotten this figure anyways. If it means that we can get some mileage, and I always say this, if we can get mileage out of a mold and we get then those deep cut characters like a classic Red Hood, I don't mind at all that if to look at it, you know exactly the origins of this body build. Of course, at least we get ourselves a couple of accessories, and being that so much of the cost was already spent on the Criminal Joker's body, it means that we also get a podium, we also get ourselves a crossbow, which again, I know we've gotten before, and we get the sickle, which again, I know we've gotten before. One thing, though, at least about the Red Hood version of him, is that this guy's going to go very nicely on the shelf, especially for the fact that they're now using the fabric capes. It seems just like moving forward that Todd doesn't really want to use plastic capes anymore. And I gotta say, though, like, the fabric capes give him more of a premium feel to it. I know there's not a likelihood that they're ever going to release this figure, but, you know, I was also thinking, too, using molds again. One character I would personally love to see, and this is we're talking deep cuts on these, is a pack of Mud Pack clay faces with one of my personal favorites, Preston Payne. I don't know why I was thinking Preston Payne, because clearly they wouldn't be able to use any of the mold here from the Criminal Joker. Maybe I was just looking at the dome. I was thinking of other characters that had domes, and I was also thinking Preston Payne. In the end, though, what do you guys think of Red Hood? Let me know down below in the comment section. You know, again, like, at one point, I was going to purchase this guy over on eBay. Then Amazon just happened to pop up with a sale just after the holidays. You know, I had some holiday money kind of like sitting around. I put in bunny ears, sitting around. I already knew I was going to be spending it. I just looked on Amazon, not something I normally check, but I looked at DC Multiverse figures. Sure enough, they had a Red Hood for $22. I threw it to the shopping cart. I was going to check out right away until somebody came down into the room. Hey, what are you buying now? Nothing, I said, until they left the room. And then I quickly checked out. Hey, I don't need to ask anybody if I was buying something. But what do you guys, though, think of Red Hood? Let me know down below in the comment section. What other deep cut characters? I know, again, like Red Hood, he's not really the deepest of cuts of characters. But what other characters maybe has other people not heard of would you like to see McFarlane Toys use or release? And if they were to release it, is there a mold that they've already done for a figure that you think that they could use for your character? If you guys also did enjoy this video, want to do it a solid and throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? I hope so. Hit that subscribe, turn on that bell, come back. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.